Ian Bremmer is founding president of Eurasia Group, a global risk consulting company. Good morning.
Good to be with you guys.
So give us a sense of what are the risks on this trip, what are the opportunities on this trip, and what does the president hope to accomplish other than getting away from domestic problems?
Well, look, I mean, I think this is a very well put together trip in terms of Trump's capabilities, right? Almost any president goes to Canada or Mexico. The last 7 have all gone Canada, Mexico. He's not doing that. He's going to Saudi Arabia. But the Saudis and the Israelis are the 2 leaders in the world that most wanted to see the back of President Obama, right, in terms of American allies. And so they're really happy to see Trump. These are going to be easy trips. They're layup. They're going to announce all sorts of new cooperation. They will be personally warm, physically warm. There'll be a lot of pomp showing Trump what a great guy he is, big celebrations. And they'll make some announcements, new arms deals, for example, new cooperation on security. Trump just had another bombing run against some allies of Assad yesterday, showing that he's doing more to support the Saudis in the region. This shouldn't be hard. But as you say, you know, this is kind of a disaster. First, he steps on himself constantly. He's now done that domestically with enormous scandals that aren't going to go away while he's on this trip. He's going to have to take those questions, deal with those headlines. He can't help himself with the tweets. And also, he's likely to say some things that will be embarrassing and off-camera moments that become on-camera moments and leaks over the course of this trip. Final thing I would say on this is, you know, this is his first trip as president to the Islamic world. He's going to be giving a speech where I'm sure he's going to say many times radical Islamic terror, something Obama wasn't willing to say. God forbid we have a terrorist attack against Americans in the region while he's doing that. Clearly, that would be a very attractive target for terrorist organizations. I think we have to be cognizant of that risk.
So what will be the definition of success for you with this trip for him?
Well, I think if we can just kind of get through the media cycle,
I know,
frankly.
but other than that, though, Ian, other than that, I mean, is there something concrete that you can say, that was a good trip, he did well?
Look, I think the fact that he now has foreign policy advisors around him that have gotten him to normalize on a bunch of things. Remember how China went. Before the big China meeting, he was saying, you're manipulating currency, I might be working with the Taiwanese. Afterwards, hey, we're buddies now, right?
Yeah.
What we need on this trip is that kind of a showing that when the president is in a meeting with a major leader, like, no, we're working with NATO now. No, I know I said I wanted a weak Europe, but actually I'm okay with Macron. I'm okay with Merkel. We haven't just improved body language, but actually I recognize the transatlantic relationship is important. And again, with Saudi and with Israel, you know, as long as there are no massive distractions, these are meetings set up to go well. And with the Pope, I'd say don't do a
well, in the campaign, they had a little bit of a spat.
They did, but that was mostly on Trump, right?
Yes,
I mean, the Pope is not going to try to embarrass Trump in that meeting. So I think that could go easily.
Ian, you say Saudi and Israel are layups for this president, but you point out the rift that he has with a lot of European leaders. You don't think that there's a certain amount of trepidation if you are a member of NATO or if you are a member of the EU looking at this president and the surfeit of scandals he's dealing with here in the United States?
Well, I mean, Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State, came out just yesterday and said, hey, outside the United States, people aren't really, they're too busy, they're not thinking about this. I can tell you that's not remotely plausible. Every foreign minister I have personally met with, spoken with since Trump has been elected, the first thing they ask me, what the hell is happening with your president, right? So they're extremely concerned about it. But at the same time, you know, it's not like NATO has a plan B instead of the United States, right? The Americans are doing the lifting.
This is clearly an opportunity for him to try to say to Islam leaders in all those countries, I am not anti-Muslim.
Yes.
In a speech, as well as meetings with them, and also try to bring them in to do something to bring the Israelis and the Palestinians together.
Good luck on that one.
Okay, but they're coming together for this, and they both have a stake in it.
Yes, look, and he said Jared's in charge of making the peace deal happen. I'm desperately skeptical that anything can be done in Israel-Palestine today, given the nature of the Israeli government, the limitations on Palestine. I believe that when John Kerry made his ill-fated 12 trips to try to make that happen. But
they're more committed to a relationship with Trump than they were to John Kerry.
The Israelis certainly are. Yeah, I accept that.
The Saudis, too.
Yeah, I think that it's too entrenched. That's a step too far. I mean, if Trump can just get through the meetings. I don't think this is a president that we're saying, can we get a Nobel Peace Prize? I think this is a president we're saying,
get through the trip.
Can we have a good trip? And I think, as we saw with Xi Jinping, he has real vulnerabilities on Islam, right? And there is also a lot to be said for his own base in going after, I'm going to make you secure. The Saudis are a good place to do that. The Saudis don't have to worry about internal, sort of ratings whatsoever. There aren't going to be demonstrations at all. They're going to make it a very comfortable place. He's going to give a big speech, and the Saudis will say that was a great speech to give.
Thank you, Ian.
Ian Bremmer, always good to see you. We will be following that trip closely.